Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
Are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
All right, this is Jessie. I am happy to be back with you guys. Aren't I always? Aren't I always? Yeah, I am. All right, got something new to announce. If you didn't already hear America Off the Rails today, I did a whole hour and a half. Yeah, no joke. Hour and a half trying to prove we paid a ransom to get Bo Bergdahl back. Yes, I said Bo Bergdahl. Now, it's already been proven we paid a ransom to get 4 Americans out of Iran, and I proved that beyond a shadow of a doubt as well. But then, I believe I have on America Off the Rails, today's show, which I'll throw a link out there for you. I believe I proved we paid a ransom for Bo Bergdahl. Well, that is if you believe sworn testimony of a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army who is in the hailstorm of his life. By the way, the State Department said the only deal was the 5 terrorists for Bergdahl. That's not what this colonel says. This colonel was close to a 7 U.S. citizen for 1 prisoner deal. Oh, yeah. Now, let me see if I can find it. I have an audio clip that I did not air last night. And I just want to give you a taste. No, Rick, I wasn't holding back on you. I just forgot I had this one. Would have been great, though. Alright, let me find it. Takes me just a second. You don't want to see the number of clips. Alright. Tell you what, let me see if I can pull it up here. I'm going to pull it up in a couple of spots, and we're going to get to it. We may not get to it as quickly as I want, but we are going to get to it. Now, I have also decided to make a little more use of my website. I'm going to post on my website some of my show prep every day, and things I didn't necessarily get to, or graphics related to things, or like this, really long audio clips, and the links where I got them. Now, this clip from the Lieutenant Colonel, I want to try and find the right spot, because this is 6.5 minutes long. So, tell you what, I will have this ready for you after the commercial break. Because as much as I love this clip, 6.5 minutes, yeah. By the time we dissect it, it'll be commercial break time. And I got a whole stack of show prep of my own for today. So we're going to get through some of that stuff, and I will have this clip prepped for you, the right spot, a shortened version. But the actual videos where I got this stuff will be posted in a blog post on Jessie's POV later tonight. Won't take me long. Believe it or not, I got most of the stuff off C-SPAN. Yeah, you heard me, C-SPAN. So if anybody wants to say my source is bogus, you just called C-SPAN bogus. And I did not edit for content. Sorry. I edited for brevity, but I didn't edit for content. So, anyone who wants to doubt my authenticity, I will give you the links. Alright. Now, I am in the chat room over at KLRNRadio.com if you'd like to join me over there. I kind of like some of you to chat with me, but, I don't seem to get too many takers. But I'm going to keep trying to hang out there. Yeah, I'm stubborn like that. I'll hang out there and throw emojis to myself just to keep the chat room alive and in color. So, and I do apologize for last night's replay. I had something pop up that could not be avoided. Alright. So, now that I think I've covered all of the important station news, let's get on to what I have for you for today in show prep. All right. Just trying to decide what order to pull these things. Iran's semi-official news agency, the ISNA news agency, reports that the country's foreign minister and his international counterparts will meet this month to discuss, quote-unquote, some differences over the implementation of the landmark nuclear deal. Basically, Iran's claiming that they're getting more out of it than what we thought they were, and they are. The Wednesday report says they will focus on banking sanctions, which Iran complains have not been fully lifted. This meeting will take place on September 22nd on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly. Alright, I may have to do a whole special on the UN General Assembly and how many sideline meetings take place during this. This is the one time when you've got tons of bigwigs from tons of countries in one place. So, and I mean tons. The U.S. president goes and makes a speech, typically makes a speech. In past, vice presidents have sat there. So like I said, the UN General Assembly and the meeting participants are supposed to be Iran, U.S., Britain, France, Russia, China, and Germany. And those are the people that have the authority to call a ministerial level meeting if they believe the deal is not being implemented as agreed. Yeah, Iran can say, hey guys, you ain't living up to your end of the bargain. No, we're letting you get away with 10 times more than what that piece of paper says. And that's been proven fact. If you are not a regular listener to my show, I suggest you go back a few episodes. It's there. Oh, it is there. Alright. Japan is to increase activities in the South China Sea, according to its defense minister. Alright, let me get the rest of this story. I just separated it. Hang on. I'm bouncing all over the place. Alright. Japan's defense minister said its forces will increase engagement in the South China Sea through training cruises with the U.S. Navy and multilateral exercises with regional navies. Now, if you listened yesterday, you know that China and Russia just started naval exercises in the South China Sea. Now, China and Russia are playing it safe and they're staying away from the disputed islands. But that doesn't mean it isn't a show of force. Alrighty. On the good side, U.S. and Russia have said that a cessation of hostilities in Syria is largely holding. It should be extended by 48 hours, as the UN, the United Nations, urged all sides to guarantee security of an aid convoy currently held up along the Turkish border into Aleppo. There was agreement as a whole, despite sporadic reports of violence. The agreement is holding, and violence is significantly lower. Let me see if I have the audio. I don't remember if I ditched it or not. It didn't come out as well as I wanted, and sometimes I ditch them. And I shouldn't have. I'll be the first to admit I shouldn't ditch something just because I don't like it on first glimpse. But I do it. So, give me just a moment here. Let me see what I can find for you. Don't think this is it. I really don't. Alright. But basically, children are actually being able to come out and play and feel safe enough in Aleppo to actually come out and play. Which, those are sights and sounds that have not been seen or heard for some time. So that is a good thing. Anytime there is Children out playing. It's a good sign. Trust me on that one. It's a good thing. All right. So, like I said, now, remember, Syria doesn't always play nice. So, and this happens to be on the eve of Eid, E-I-D, a Muslim holiday. And so, of course, Syria's Assad delivers a defiant Eid message to his people. It's kind of the equivalent of President Obama coming out with a Christmas Day message that's just obnoxious. Wouldn't surprise me. Or any government leaders coming out with something obnoxious. The Syrian government has said it will reject any aid deliveries to the city of Aleppo not coordinated through itself and the UN, particularly from Turkey, which has backed the rebels fighting Assad. A diplomatic source speaking to Al Jazeera on the condition of anonymity on Wednesday confirmed that the Turkish government's involvement remains a major sticking point. Politics is coming in the way, because there is actually UN-sanctioned aid waiting at the Turkish border, which is why they've agreed to extend the ceasefire another 48 hours. UN General Secretary Ban Ki-moon urges the Russian government to make sure they exercise influence on the Syrian government and also the American side to make sure that Syrian armed groups also fully cooperate. The convoy of aid was supposed to head towards Aleppo on Wednesday, but Ban Ki-moon said the security arrangements were still not in place. They're at the border with Syria. They are still there. The UN estimates that well over 500,000 people are living under siege in Syria, where a 5-year conflict has killed hundreds of thousands and displaced more than 11 million. People gathered near burning tires during a demonstration against forces loyal to Assad and calling for aid to reach Aleppo near Castillo Road in Aleppo, Syria. Meanwhile, pro-government troops and rebel fighters were reportedly set to begin staged withdrawals from a key Aleppo road, expected to be used for aid deliveries early on Thursday. Zakari Malafiji of the Aleppo-based rebel group Bastakim told Reuters that the rebel group intends to comply with the plan to withdraw 500 meters from the Castillo Road in order to make a neutral space, but the government must also pull back. So, basically, if the government pulls back, the rebels will pull back, and the government's probably saying if the rebels pull back, we'll pull back. Guys, somebody has to move first. Get on with it. A second UN official said that deliveries to Aleppo had to cross numerous checkpoints. Well, hello, Mr. Frog. A second UN official said that deliveries to Aleppo had to cross numerous checkpoints operated by both opposition and government forces, and it was still unclear whether the aid could get through safely. But the opposition Sabra blamed Damascus, saying the government's insistence on controlling aid was obstructing its delivery to Aleppo under the agreement. The Syrian government has said it will reject any deliveries to the city not coordinated through itself and the UN, particularly from Turkey. So, like I said, politics at its finest. My oh my, where does the time go? We're not quite at the bottom of the hour, but we're getting there. Alright, remember I mentioned that North Korea was building nuclear plants? They're not the only ones. They're not the only ones. Why oh why? Alright. State Department spokesman John Kirby mentioned that there has been no exceptions given in the Iran nuclear deal. Okay, I have one thing to say about that. Liar, liar, pants on fire. White House spokesman Josh Earnest dismissed a report that the United States and world powers quietly agreed Iran could ignore restrictions on its uranium stockpile. Alright. Now, Iran is building additional 2 new nuclear plants. Guess who's helping them? Guess who's helping them? If you said Russia, ding ding ding, you're a winner. In November, Iran signed a number of deals with the Russian Federation for construction of not 1 but 2 nuclear reactors at the Bushehr site, with an option for an additional 6. Alright, we've already said that you put plutonium into a nuclear power plant, or you put uranium into a nuclear power plant, you get plutonium out. And I've already said that Iran is being able to keep more nuclear waste from this power plant than we originally thought they were. And now they're going to build even more nuclear power plants, which means more waste, which means more material for missiles. So, and if you don't trust me on the science, and the only reason I trust me on the science is thank you, Dr. Judy L. Moore, and her episode on Conversations in Science. And trust me, we had many conversations about this topic before we recorded. So, but I encourage you to look up Conversations in Science. She did a great job explaining heavy water, nuclear waste, and how we get from A to B to C, and what all this stuff means. Now, everybody says that that this agreement was implemented before Iran came into compliance. It's not true. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is what I think of the Iran nuclear deal. It needs to be torn up and thrown out. And I just knocked my stapler off my desk. I'm sorry. The Iran nuclear deal is a complete and utter failure. Complete and utter failure. The reports have come out that there were sideline deals through the UN, surprise, surprise there, our friends the UN who are inept at everything, that allowed them to keep more nuclear waste than originally agreed upon. I mean, really, folks. And this surprises somebody? Alright, let me see if... Alright, I'm going to have 2 audio clips keyed up for you when we get back from the break. I have one more story I'm going to cover quickly before we get to the bottom of the hour. And we are quickly approaching the bottom of the hour. Alright, hang on. I got too many news articles on my desk. What can I say? What can I say? Alright. I think I've got this keyed up to the right spot. It's not even the right clip. Oh yeah, I'm just going bonkers tonight. I'm going bonkers, and you don't want to know why. I'm always working on something else, for what that's worth. For those of you who doubt how... Alright, let's see if we can get that audio clip to play properly for you. I definitely had it queued up. Alright, let's take a listen. And then we will discuss it, don't we always?
bombed and destroyed a pharmaceutical factory in Iraq, which the Islamic State converted into a chemical weapons plant. A top Air Force commander stated that 12 different aircraft struck 50 points of interest throughout the facility. Air Force Lieutenant General Jeffrey Harrigan added that the facility also served as a headquarters in the region, but the military is not sure what was at the facility. During a Pentagon briefing, General Harrigan added they are not sure what chemicals the converted plant produced.
So, we struck an alleged ISIS chemical plant over the weekend. Yes, I think that is a very good thing. U.S. bombs ISIS chemical plant. The strike follows a United Nations-backed report issued last month that found both the regime of Syria, Bashar al-Assad, and ISIS have used chemical weapons in the 5-year-long war that has ripped the country apart. It's housed in a converted Iraqi pharmaceutical factory. And 12 aircraft were used to hit the facility, which also served as an ISIS headquarters at 50 different points. Now, like she said, that we don't know for sure what chemicals were there. But here's the thing. Any chemical weapons that are taken out, or precursor chemicals to chemical weapons, that's a good thing in my book, guys. I mean, there were chlorine gas attacks. Alright. There's chlorine gas attacks in Aleppo. In 2012, we had President Barack Obama's famous red line that would change his calculus on military intervention in Syria's civil war, when he decided not to take action in August 2013 after the Syrian regime attacked a domestic suburb with sarin gas. Political opponents and even Middle Eastern and European allies, political opponents and even Democrats decried that decision. The U.S. instead pursued a 2013 agreement to rid Syria of lethal chemical agents that eventually led to the disposal of 1,200 pounds of deadly material. The agreement did, however, allow the Syrian regime to keep chlorine, which has non-military uses. Since weaponized chlorine is considered a chemical weapon, Syria's use of chlorine in Aleppo has violated the United Nations resolution and the U.S.-Russia agreement. Oh yes, they are still using chemical weapons. Make no mistake. Don't believe me? Take a listen.
According to the Daily Beast, the tumultuous state of Syria continues to develop chemical weapons despite agreeing to have them destroyed, and it also continues to use chlorine gas on the battlefield after agreeing to discontinue its use. U.S. National Security Council spokesperson Ned Price said the following: "It is now impossible to deny that the Syrian regime has repeatedly used industrial chlorine as a weapon against its own people. The gas was formerly used as chemical warfare during World War I. When it mixes with the moisture in humans' eyes and lungs, it turns to harmful acid that can be fatal."
All right, yes. Syria is using chemical weapons, and the United Nations has confirmed it. All right, we are at just a little bit past the bottom of the hour, so we are going to take that commercial break, and I'm going to find you that clip, that unheard clip that never aired last night. All right. You would go enjoy your commercial break while I get back to work.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course. Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
Down if you wanna, you can run away if you wanna, you can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna, you can play dead if you wanna, forget what they said if you wanna, turn your back on the country needing you right now, but I don't wanna.
There over that commercial break. Sorry I was a second or two late getting back. I was working on that audio for you guys. Alright. For those of you who listened to this morning's episode of America Off the Rails, you heard a lot of audio from Lieutenant Colonel Amarine. I got a little bit more that didn't make the cut last night. Now, I'm going to post links to the entire videos that I used on Jessie's POV shortly after I get off the air today. But I want you to listen to this. If I need to expand the clip, I will.
I spoke to Representative Duncan Hunter because he's a member of the House Armed Services Committee. I needed him to buttress our efforts with two simple messages. The hostage recovery effort was broken, and because of that, 5 hostages and a prisoner of war had little hope of escaping Pakistan. It started to work. His dialogue with the Department of Defense led quickly to the appointment of Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Policy Lumpkin as a hostage recovery coordinator for the Pentagon. This step enabled the DoD to act decisively on the Bergdahl trade once the Taliban sought a deal. But the civilian hostages were forgotten during negotiations. I continue to work with Representative Hunt.
All right. That's not all he has to say. Let me see if I can find the one other clip I really want to bring to your attention. And I'm looking for it. I might be able to pull it up from last night's prepped audio. Hang on. Just a minute. Alright. Now this was played last night, but it bears repeating.
Confirm this. You told me that in the course of your attempts to gain the freedom of these hostages in Afghanistan and Pakistan, you were made aware, it's your belief, that the government did pay a ransom and that ransom money was stolen. And secondly, that you believed you were pretty close to potentially having a deal where we would get 7 hostages in exchange for 1 Taliban leader, and instead we got 1 hostage in exchange for 5 Taliban leaders. Is that kind of in a nutshell, that information, is that why you've been retaliated against, or what is the reason?
Yes, sir. I think that there are layers of this, as I said, in terms of layers of the bureaucracy. On December 1st of 2014, Representative Hunter submitted a complaint to the IG alleging an illegal or questionable ransom possibly being paid for Sergeant Bergdahl.
Yeah, you heard that. An illegal or questionable ransom being paid for Sergeant Bergdahl. Yeah, that's not somebody I really want to see our country paying ransom for, guys. I don't know about you, but whatever happened, we do not negotiate with terrorists and we do not pay ransom. I have no clue, but something happened to it. And I have to say, it's not something I agree with. This administration has effectively put a price on every American's head. And I know I don't normally get into politics, but oy vey. When I find this kind of crap out, it just drives me bonkers. Alright. Let's get off this topic, or I could fill up the rest of the show, which time is slipping away quickly. And I'm getting more and more articles being shoved to my I didn't get there list than I care to mention. Mexico does indeed want a border wall, but they want a wall on their southern border to keep out illegal aliens from Central America. Mexicans are calling for a border wall to keep out Guatemalans, Salvadorans, and Hondurans fleeing violence in their own countries. So Mexico wants a wall, just not the one that Trump is proposing. So, yeah. Let's see. Oh, our favorite Filipino leader, Duterte, denies giving death squad orders, even though there are accusations proving that he did, or alleging that he did. I may have to look into that. Alright, this is better suited for Rick's show. We've already covered that one. That's my good news story. I will end on that. Yes, I'm sitting here going through stories as I read them to you. Both sides, separatist rebels and government troops, are both reporting violations of a ceasefire that was supposed to begin in Ukraine. Yes, the Ukraine is still on fire. On Wednesday, rebels on Tuesday declared a unilateral ceasefire, and visiting German foreign minister said the following day Ukraine had also agreed to observe the truce. Russian state television on Thursday quoted rebel officials as saying their forces came under mortar fire earlier that day. Ukrainian army spokesman Ivan Erfev said that fighting subsided at midnight, but the rebels used small arms and hand grenades in the morning. And this is according to the Interfax news agency. Yes, Ukraine is still a problem. Meanwhile, North Korea. What would a show be without North Korea? Floods in North Korea have left hundreds dead or missing, and it is the worst disaster to hit the country since World War II. The official news agency, KCNA, of course, did not give exact numbers but of those killed or unaccounted for, but a UN report said there were at least 138 people died and 400 missing after torrential rains caused devastation in the country's far north. And guess what? Remember the famine in the 1990s? It was a flood that caused it. So we may be facing another Korean famine. While I dislike the Korean government, I do feel for the Korean people. I do feel for them. Alright. We're going to go to Libya, or Yemen now, I believe. Yemen, Libya, all kind of one and the same, not really, but... Alright. See what I've got on audio here.
Now to Libya, where the U.S.-backed government has called for talks after a rebel group seized a main oil port. The UN Security Council has proposed the formation of a new government to unite the divided nation. UN Special Envoy to Libya, Martin Kobler, says progress has been made in the fight against ISIL. However, major hurdles to political unity remain. CCTV's Stephanie Freed met with the founder of Libya's first-ever think tank. Is Libya on the brink of civil war? How can this crisis be solved? Let's find out.
Thank you for joining me. The question that people are asking right now, is Libya, in light of this oil refineries takeover, is Libya headed into civil war?
Certainly very close to an all-out civil war. I think we already are in the midst of a quite nasty one where the political motivations of military actors now is in full play. We have to understand this is holding a significant amount of political currency, a significant amount of economic currency, and now that is in the hand of a new actor or an emerging actor over the last 2 years, Khalifa Haftar, and the Libyan National Army that he controls, a set of militias and a set of military and other actors that are now moving past their stronghold in Benghazi and Al-Marj and pushing towards the west.
What would you say are the short and long-term solutions to the current crisis?
The real desire of the international community should be to quarantine those actors in the long term. In the short term, we have to realize that the actors that are in Libya, that are local players, have only been able to reach this kind of political height by being able to work with international or members of the international community. So other countries, regional countries, especially in the Arab world, have been funding local militias and local actors in order to progress and advance regional objectives, such as wiping out Islamists in the Arab world, or wiping out the Muslim Brotherhood in the Muslim world or the Arab world or North Africa, or on the other hand, to try and prop up Islamists or to try and prop up other Muslim kind of affiliates in Libya.
All right, so Libya, can we all agree Libya is in the middle of a civil war? All right, the article that goes along with this, as power shifts to general after port seizure, international players must support a viable political solution before engaging any further militarily. In recent weeks, UN brokered internationally recognized Presidential Council and its according to Government of National Accord, GNA, has been hemorrhaging support erstwhile political allies on the ground. Among erstwhile political allies on the ground, as internal divisions deepen. Lack of control over state institutions and a free-falling economy have eroded confidence in the ability of the UN peace process to rescue the country from the brink of civil war. Haftar's so-called Libyan National Army forces launched a military operation to wrest control of the 4 oil crescent ports away from petroleum facilities. Guard the PFG units loyal to Ibrahim Jadrim, which has been working with the GNA, for many months. The LNA takeover of oil crescent ports has dramatically shifted the balance of military and political power in Libya towards Haftar. Alright. Since Muammar Gaddafi has been ousted, let's just face it, Libya's been a wreck. Libya has just been an ever-loving disaster. Alright, I've got one more story and then we're going to get to my good news story. Let me find it. That's the Taliban. That's the ceasefire I've already covered. It's the Iran nuclear deal that I'm not getting into. I decided it belongs on someone else's show. And I will forward them the link. It's more suited for Rick's show. Is it? Alright. It's about Iran and Saudi Arabia and tensions over the Hajj. Now, for those of you who don't listen to this show regularly and therefore don't keep up, Saudi prince threatens Iran over using force. A senior Saudi official responded to Iranian criticism.
There was a good deal of evidence that it occurred and a lot of questions as to how it occurred. That complaint implicated both the DoD organization and the FBI.
Just started playing. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, I have no clue where that came from, but I killed it. Alright, I found it. I killed it. It won't start up again. Saudi prince threatens Iran over using force. Mecca Prince Governor Prince Khalid al-Fasi in remarks likely to be seen as a reference to Iran, added that orderly conduct of the pilgrimage this year is a response to all the lies and slanders made against the kingdom. Alright, last year, there was over 100 people were killed when something went wrong at the Hajj and people were there was a stampede. And last year's Hajj disaster and the execution in January of dissident Saudi Shiite cleric Nimr al-Nimr triggered months of scathing Iranian criticism of the kingdom. Riyadh broke off relations with Tehran after its embassy was attacked by Iranians protesting Nimr's death. Iran's powerful Revolutionary Guard promised harsh revenge for Nimr's death. Iran blamed the Hajj 2015 disaster on Saudi incompetence. Now, I do have a brief clip on what the Hajj is and why it's so important.
The Hajj is an annual Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca and a mandatory religious duty for Muslims that must be carried out at least once in their lifetime by all adult Muslims who are physically and financially capable of undertaking the journey and can support their family during their absence.
Alright, so the Hajj is a mandatory minimum once-in-a-lifetime pilgrimage. And Mecca, which is where you go on the Hajj, is part of Saudi Arabia. And Iran and Saudi are going, no, you can't come. No, I want to come. No, you can't come. You caused problems last year. Oy vey. And I understand that there's tensions between the two countries. And Iranian leadership is pushing to have more of their people at the Hajj, and Saudi is saying we may not let any Iranians in this year. No top Iranian leader has called for war with Saudi, something neither country wants, but like I said, last year's Hajj disaster didn't help relations between them. So, And of course, Ayatollah Khamenei on September 5th said some of the Iranians who died had been murdered by Saudi Arabia. He said Muslims should not let Saudi rulers escape responsibility for crimes they committed in Arab conflicts. Yeah. So, that's the tale on that one. Alright, maybe I have time for one more. There's a volcano in Japan near a nuclear plant that is supposed to see a major eruption. The volcano, which is located near the city of Kagoshima, has been erupting frequently since 1955, with the latest spectacular eruption occurring in April of this year. The last major eruption, however, happened in 1914 and claimed 58 lives. Scientists estimate that the volcano needs roughly 130 years to build up the necessary amount of magma for a major eruption. The storage rate implies a time of about 130 years. The Sendai nuclear power plant has two 890-megawatt reactors. The station did not generate electricity in the immediate wake of the Fukushima disaster in 2011, but was restarted in August 2015. The Sakurajima volcano is designated as a decade volcano. Decade volcanoes are 16 volcanoes scattered around the world, which are identified by the International Association of Volcanology and Chemistry, and being worthy of particular study. All of them have a history of devastating eruptions and close proximity to populated area. The volcano has been classified under a level 3 out of 5 alert by the Japan Meteorological Society since September 2015. This means the volcano is active and should not be approached, and the nuclear power plant in question is approximately 50 kilometers, or roughly 25 miles. Now, if you remember those eruptions in Hawaii, lava went far. It gets going downhill, and it eats everything in its path. And the more lava comes out, the stronger that flow, the further it travels. So, lava can travel more than 25 miles or 50 kilometers, guys. And we got a nuclear power plant potentially in its path. It's a story that bears watching. Alright. I've got a good news story today. Holocaust survivor to celebrate bar mitzvah at 112 years old. 100 years of waiting, the oldest man alive is finally getting the celebration he deserves. Israel Cristal, a 112-year-old Holocaust survivor, didn't get to celebrate becoming a man according to Jewish tradition. When he turned 13, the typical time to celebrate a bar mitzvah coming-of-age ceremony in the Jewish religion, it was 1916, and World War I was unfolding around him. His father was in the Russian army, and his mother had died 3 years before. Cristal's daughter Schmidt Kirchstock told the local Germany no one was celebrating in this moment. About 30 years later, still having never recognized the milestone, Cristal was deported to Auschwitz as World War II invaded his Polish homeland. He lost both his wife and their two children to the Holocaust, but was freed when American soldiers liberated his concentration camp. Cristal, who also holds the Guinness Book of World Record for being the oldest man alive, will celebrate his 113th birthday on Thursday, and his family is using this occasion to celebrate his century-long overdue bar mitzvah. We're going to celebrate with many family members, his daughter told the news outlet. We will bless him, we will dance with him, we'll be happy with him. But you can't feel like you're 13 when you're 113. I think it's great. Cristal, when he nabbed the title from Guinness World Records in March, admitted he didn't know the secret to long life, but promised he would continue to march forward. There have been smarter, stronger, and better-looking men than me who are no longer alive, he said. All that is left for us to do is keep working as hard as we can and rebuild what is lost. Gotta like his attitude. Gotta like his attitude. It's a fun, good news story. That is. Alright. On that note, you know what's coming. On that note, Auto here!